Good evening, everybody. Welcome from a very sunny Inverness. We've been out at the cottage today, cutting some grass, doing some jobs, and having quite a nice time of it. I'm also cutting videos, not ready for general share, but for a trip I did round Scotland with a friend of mine, so I'm putting video together just for the two of us to watch. But the purpose of today's video is to talk about this little thing here, which is the Carpuride W502, not 702. So sat-navs generally have become indispensable. I remember the days of not having sat-navs and having maps taped to my tank. When there was no option, it was fine, and we can share lots of war stories about the glories of trying to look down and see a map on your tank and missing turns and all sorts of things. And sat-nav has come and revolutionised how we ride. I have an old TomTom unit, must have had it 8 or 9 years now, maybe not that long. I think it's a TomTom 50, so it's just as UK. And I fitted it to various bikes, and at the moment it's fitted to my GSA. But what I'd really like is to have something fitted to the unit that sits in front of me. And GSAs, all BMWs tend to come with sat-nav preparation, and it sits right in front of you, which I rather like because it's in my line of sight. Whereas the TomTom I have to fit to my handlebar, takes handlebar space, and getting the right angle for it is always a little bit of a trial. And I had, when I was using it a couple of weeks ago, the vibration made the bracket come slightly loose. My problem, I didn't fix it, I didn't put it on properly, but it rocked forward. It didn't fall because I saved it, but having it fixed securely onto the prep is great. In the last few years, cars, bikes, we've got used to Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and as you get used to them, you get used to having your own music and access to podcasts and audio books and all sorts of things you don't get, say, with a standard sat-nav, although some do have that. And units are becoming available. So I have an old Volvo V70, still 140,000 miles on it, and I've recently bought it's a mirroring device, and it's fitted to the windscreen through the aux out and the 12-volt socket, and we get to listen to, when I go to golf or my wife's driving it, our podcast. So having not long got my GSA, where my Goldwing had Android Auto, and I quite enjoyed having it on there, I was sort of hoping to get it onto my GSA. So looked at a couple of units to buy. There's lots of YouTube influencers been sent free versions of the Chiggy, which I have a Chiggy here, and the Carpurides, mainly the 7-inch one. I didn't want a 7-inch one because I thought maybe it was too big. I could be wrong on there, but I opted for the 5-inch, the 502. Now, this is it, connected to my phone right now. It connects very easily. There's a lot that's good about this. So let's start off. Well, compare the two. Here's a Chiggy. Here is the Carpuride. The Chiggy doesn't come with any sort of fitting kit, so I'm still waiting to fit this. It's a much heavier unit, feels more quality than this does. But this is, I think, £550, plus it has to be fitted. So if you're going to fit it yourself, you need some additional bits depending what bike you're going to fit it to. Or you can pay someone to fit it if you can find one. I can't find one at the moment, but you're looking at around about £250 to have it fitted. So you're in the thick end of £750 to get one of these fitted to your bike, unless you can fit it yourself, in which case it's about £500, £550. There are a few discounts going as the product develops. This, on the other hand, currently retails, I think, about £250, but with various discounts they're offering, I paid about £140 for this, which I think is very good for this type of thing. And given the fact this has to be waterproofed, A typical one for a car is around about 100, 150 pounds depending on the size that you get. And the big advantage of this one over the Chiggy is this bit here. So this slots straight onto the nav preparation for the BMW bikes. You connect this wire to this wire, that gives you your power, tuck it all in, and then slot it on, lock it in, as you do with any BMW sat nav, and it sits there. I did see a review of this where they said the screw was a little bit flimsy. I think this is a post-production or fully up for retail, and I have to say this is solid. This is really good. Minor criticism is there's a little, look here, this wire's got to go down there. It's quite tight and the wire's a bit big, so when you're forcing it down, I've sort of taken an edge off the wire, but because that has to be flush, otherwise it doesn't fit properly. And in the box you get a bunch of wires. You also get in the box one of these, so a RAM mount, really useful thing to have. A set of screws, ball mounts, all sorts of things. And this I've got connected into my a USB, so I can play around with it and try and solve a problem I have. So sounds all good. But, and I really want to say how great this is. I really want this to work, but it isn't working for me. And the main problem is actually the size of the screen. It's too small. If I put it onto Google Maps, it's when you are, so I'm holding it away from my computer, it's probably around about a distance like it is away from me on my bike, maybe it's sort of more here, and it's too small and I can't see any of this sort of detail and I can't see really the directions on the road. If I put it into split screen mode, so if I want to have music as well, you can see this is tiny. Which leads me to think to say, if you want one of these, I'd probably recommend you go for the 7-inch, and that'll just give you a bit more screen to look at. I've ridden about 300 miles with this so far. I found that Google Maps is way too small, Waze is too small, but I use Scenic, and that wasn't too bad, but still not brilliant, because it leads me on to the second problem. One of the early issues with any sat-nav was reflections on the screen. Now you need a special glass, I think it's amortised glass, don't hold me to that. So that's non-reflective. And the biggest issue with this is I can't get it at an angle where I can actually see it because of the reflection. I get a really nice mirror view of the shoey on my crash helmet. I have to go into forest for it to darken right down to actually get a clear view of what's on the screen. And I think the unit is built to a price, and you have to applaud that. You have to celebrate the guys who are trying to make these and make them down to a price, because the cost of motorcycle sat-navs is high, probably because of the waterproofing. And this bracket, I mean, it's superb, it's really good. Just the same is that it's just a bit too small to see and very reflective. The other issue I have with it, and the reason why it's connected up here, is I cannot connect this to my helmet intercom. I have Shoei helmet, and I have the this is the Interphone W502. So I've connected to plenty of devices, phones, other devices, so I know how to connect it. That's not the issue. Carpuride have been suggesting to me that I don't know how to actually connect the helmet, which is irritating, I have to say. But I spent a couple of hours here today going through every setting, every way I could possibly connect it to, They sent me some videos, some instructions, but I can't get it to connect. So it means the second issue that I've got is I can't see the screen and I've got no audio. So in the end, what I've got is this nice unit at the front of my bike that's giving me no visual information and no audio information. And that is such a shame. It's such a shame. Because I think for the price, if I could live without the audio. Although then, if I'm not going to have the audio, I might as well just stick with my TomTom. Because really what I want from this, I do want the maps, but I also want Spotify to listen to my music. And unfortunately, this just isn't working. I just cannot get an audio output. It's probably this particular unit. And I know some people think I'm cursed. I'm sure I'm not. But it doesn't quite work the way I need it to work. Before I say don't go out and buy one, because that's not the purpose of this video. I think the 7-inch would be better. It already comes with this little screen on it to try and reduce that reflection. And different bikes might be fine, you'll be able to see it. Maybe wait 6 months and it will be that I've sorted the glass out. But at the moment, having paid my £150, whatever I paid for it, it isn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I can't recommend it. Thanks for watching. Bye.